$125,000 richer, Florida's Scott Martin.
Day after the tournament, man, tour event on Cumberland, 8-time tour champion Scott Martin. Dude, amazing week. And has it set in at all yet that you set another record?
You know, it really hasn't. I mean, yesterday was such a stressful day. I lost a couple fish and, oh my gosh! Dang it! I went and net the fish and hit the jerkbait. It was a 3-pounder, 2 3/4, and there was another one with him. Man, I've made some mistakes before fishing, man. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. I mean, who would have ever thought that Clark was going to have a bad final day?
What you got, Clark?
I tell you what, those smallmouth can be fickle. I didn't catch a bass today, though. Scott Martin.
Your champion is Scott Martin. Wow!
So I didn't think I was going to win until the last minute. But, you know, I fished this week with a purpose. I stayed focused. I stayed calm. And it was awesome. I, you know, caught a mixed bag every day, which was really cool. And I don't know what it is about those smallmouth, but I kind of like those guys.
You guys kind of jive together, don't you?
I know. It's been fun. So hopefully I'll be able to show you a few little things that I did this week and hopefully show you guys at home a little bit about how to approach Lake Cumberland under these conditions.
Well, yeah, dude, without further ado, let's dump her in and let's go get fishing.
Let's go get it. All right. Well, this is a classic deal, basically, that I was fishing. 2 reasons. A, it's set up the right way, and B, I hadn't been here before. So, I mean, that was really my pattern is I just literally ran around. If you look at my GPS trails, they're all through this area and the other side of the lake as well. And, you know, we're in a creek, but we're in the little short pockets off the creek. And the ones that I liked the best were the ones that had a few trees, prefer the ones that just had maybe 3 trees, so you could make good casts in and around all the cover. Because these fish would be in one of these 3 or 4 trees. Oh my gosh. Oh, boys. And I really like the banks that had a little bit of rock, a little bit steeper, with a rock, gravel, dirt mix. You know, if it was just straight bluff, 100% rock, wasn't as good. But I would just cast that jerkbait past, I'm targeting this tree at this point. I throw it past the tree, reel the jerkbait down. You know, kind of fish pretty slow through here. You know, I didn't go real fast. And I would just try to call one out of that tree with that jerkbait.
The coolest thing, at least for me, was that you want it off a pattern and like all instincts. You know, I think it's, everyone nowadays has so much emphasis on spots and, you know, certain locations. But like you said, you literally just drove around and, oh, that looks pretty good. Pull in and you catch a couple, you know?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
I keep running this pattern, keep running new water. You know, it takes all day, that's the thing. You know, I don't have a spot, I'm just running new water. I've never fished this bank before in my life. Big old spots, throwing a jerkbait. It was funny because whenever there was a whole bunch of boats following me every day, and I'd say, all right, we're moving. And the camera guy would say, where are we going? I'd say, I don't know. Somewhere. And sometimes I'd jump on plane and go like 300 yards and I'd stop again, you know. He'd say, oh, that was a long run. I said, well, it's set up right, you know. Oh, see all the fish right there under the bait?
Oh, yeah.
They're like right here. Oh, look, one just busted right there. There he is. Little spot.
Chasing bait.
Bait chaser. But that's what developed, now this is just a small one here, but that's what developed yesterday, is that it was the first time that I noticed a lot of activity in the back of these pockets where there were schools of bait coming in. There's alewives in this lake. And I started to notice them on the graph, and you could even sometimes visibly see the cloud of bait. And I caught several fish, you know, keying on the bait in the back of these pockets, casting where the bait was. And those fish were schooled up underneath it. Day one, we had cloudy conditions, cold weather, but the water temperature hadn't fallen yet, so the fish were really biting good. So I'd pull in creeks like this, and I caught them on several different things. Jerkbait obviously was still a big player.
Yep.
But I did cast around a half-ounce impact jig, you know, in the back of these pockets. I'd throw them up around the last little bit of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the water temperature at that point was, the day before, was the highest it's been all week. So this fish, the largemouth, were rising up in the back of these pockets, getting ready to spawn. And they were reacting really good to that jig. Caught a couple key fish on that. The main thing was the jerkbait that produced most of the quality bites. So it was a three-prong approach. Jig, jerkbait, fluke. Jerkbait being number one, jig being number two, and the fluke a couple bonus bites. There's another one. There's one. Look at that spot.
Yeah.
Nice big old spot. Getting right back here in the back.
I was just gonna say, I saw a bunch of bait flick
Yeah.
on top of your line when you were popping it.
Yeah. And that was key for me yesterday, as I was able to kind of catch a few of these fish that were hanging around this bait. Now day two, this bait thing didn't happen because it was basically super cold. Water temperature had just fallen. It took a few days for these fish to get dialed in. That's not a real big one, but it's still a decent spot.
Heck
I mean,
yeah,
nice
man.
little belly. And you know, pre-spawn time of the year like we are right now, fish are gonna weigh a little bit more. If this was a post-spawn fish, this fish would only be, you know, be 4 or 5 ounces less. But a little belly on her, so not a bad little limit fish, you know. All right, plan is, let's go try to get a big old smallmouth.
Ooh,
I've got a little pocket across the way that
I can't argue with
caught
that.
one good one. It's a big enough pocket, but there's two schools of bait in the back of that, and I saw several other fish blowing up around, and I haven't been back. I fished it one time yesterday and didn't go back to it, so let's go see if we can catch a big old brown one.
We're going to Browntown.
Browntown. Big smallmouth.
Yes! Woo, boys! Yes! I said it was a good spot, didn't I?
All right, Scott, we're over in smallmouth country now. What's the deal with it? Why is this particular little creek thing we're in good?
This particular spot here is good because A, it's real close to Main River.
Sure.
It's a big enough creek or branch that I think just a lot of fish can get in here real easy. But being this is one of the first arms off the Main River, it seems like the smallmouth in general like to either relate to the Main River itself.
Yep.
And the first creek arms off the Main River, you know, and so that's really, this creek here, or branch, is really a perfect example of how I approach this tournament, because it has this arm, an arm there, an arm there, an arm there, an arm there. It has like 10 arms, right? And so the smallmouth and spots and a few largemouth were mixed in this little arm, likewise over there. And then the farther you got back, the more largemouthy and spot oriented it got.
I mean, it's blowing pretty good today. We look out there, there's white caps.
Right.
But in here, we don't have dirty water, and I assume it hasn't changed at all throughout the week?
I think that really helped me. This time of the year, pre-spawn, which is what these fish are doing. I mean, some guys catching a few fish off beds and seeing a few, but for the most part, we're in a hard pre-spawn. We also have a rising water. This water rose every single day, just a little bit, but it still rose every single day. And we had falling temperatures. When you have rising water and falling temperatures, fish typically are going to suspend in this pre-spawn time of the year. And where are they going to suspend? They're going to suspend around cover, i.e. the bushes,
Sure.
i.e. the points. I chose this side of the lake because it was the most sheltered side of the lake. Okay, all these creeks down this side of the lake didn't have wind blowing into them. It had wind blowing across them and out of them. And so the water clarity never changed. I went on the other side of the lake and looked around at creeks that looked just as good as this one, that probably had just as many fish, but it was inconsistent. You'd go in there one day and the clarity would be off, it'd be wind blown, and it'd be milked up, and then the next one would be clear. So there was inconsistencies with the clarity and the way that the current moved around in those pockets, and I think that changes the fish on a daily basis.
Sure.
On a stable condition on this side of the lake, the fish became more predictable every day. And I think that really helped me. All right, one of the other keys I think that helped me out is I wasn't throwing 10-pound line like a lot of people do on jerkbaits. I was throwing 12. And the reason I was throwing 12 is because I would get hung up in a tree underwater like that. And that 12-pound P-line tactical was thin enough that it allowed my jerkbait to get deep, but yet strong enough to kind of pull the branches off. And so I was able to pull that bait free, and a lot of times I would catch a fish, or I'd make another cast in there and catch a fish. Instead of getting hung up with 10, where you got to go up there every single time.
Right, and then you
unhook,
kind of blow the whole
area.
area
Yeah, you blow the whole
out too.
thing out. Yeah, you're making all kind of commotion. Another key to my tournament was on the 4th day. I made a bait change about an hour into it. It was one of those things that just literally popped in my head. I didn't even think about it the day before. It hit me. I thought, I don't even know if I have it in here. I looked in there, the hooks were totally rusted. And I even thought, like, I don't even know if I want to change these hooks right now, so maybe I won't even throw it. But I said, nah, let me, $125,000 on the line. Let me spend a little time and fix this thing up. So I did. I put some new hooks on it. And the first cast, you know, you always wonder if it's going to work. First cast I made, I literally caught one that was like 4 inches long. Yeah, and I go, well, hey, at least they bite it.
Right,
If a 4-incher will bite it, and then a 2-pounder will bite it, or a 4-pounder will bite it. And what is a wake bait? A wake bait is basically a long A bomber. This is just an old school bomber, bone color. And it floats. It's a high floating one. You put it on pretty heavy monofilament. This is like 15-pound mono because it floats. And I just hold my rod tip high up in the air and just reel it real slow, and it just wakes on the surface and it makes a little V on the water. I would pull in the back of these pockets when it was calm like this, especially if there was a little bit of bait around. And it's so cool because in this clear water, you want to throw it in clear water, you'll see them come up behind it. And a lot of times they'll come up behind it and then go away. And then they come back like 2 seconds later and they just attack it. It's like they come up to check it out. And then they go, I don't know. And then they go back down and they go, oh, heck with it, boom, and they get it, you know. So I caught a couple really nice fish on it. Did that whole bush move? The whole bush moved. I did not hit the bush. The whole bush shook.
Uh-oh.
I'm serious, dude. The whole bush went, cool. Because I threw there, I didn't hit the bush, and the whole bush shook like Okeechobee when you flip in a reed head. There was a big fish that hit that tree, I'm telling you, dude. That whole thing shook. That was crazy. A lot of times you spook around the trees, it'd come right back. There he is. Fish or limb? No, big fish.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Nice. Oh, he jumped off. So that was it right there. I mean, he jumped off. He jumped off, but it was a good fish. It was a good keeper largemouth. And when I threw the wake bait in there, I saw the tree limb shake, so I knew there was one there. And he bit the jerk bait. So that's basically what I would do. I would just keep it. And this is a perfect example of a good spot because there's one bush, right? One bush. So if there's a fish in this pocket, most likely he's going to be right there. So I've made 2 or 3 casts in there, right?
Yep.
And the other thing that I did, and I don't know if you noticed this, is when I made a cast, there's a limb sticking way out. I couldn't get my bait as close to that tree as I wanted to, so I casted past it, moved the boat over, so I changed the angle of my jerk bait so it came closer to the tree by going that way. So that was a good keeper. The largemouth, it was neat. You could tell the difference instantly when I was fighting them. Smallmouth, when you'd hook them, they go crazy. Like just crazy. Spots are kind of in between. Yep. And the largemouth, like I thought that might have been a limb. I was like, I don't know.
It's like a wet bag.
It is. It's like dragging a wet towel in. You know, you just feel their head shake. So it was neat to feel the difference in the fish.
Then you kind of know what you're in for ahead of time.
Right. I'm hung up good on this one. Throw it by that tree again. Let's see if we get one to bite that thing.
That looks like you could get jiggy with it.
There you go.
I got him.
Nice.
It's not as big as the one spot you said you saw on that tree, but it's a spotted bass.
It's a keeper. It's a keeper.
Dude, I feel like you can't even squeeze him, like he might explode. They're so fat.
Yeah, that's a good thing about the pre-spawn. These fish are gonna weigh quite a bit more, which is good, so. Oh, there's one.
Oh yeah.
Nice spot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now I noticed your jerkbait has a little bit of like some chartreuse on the back end.
I think
Were most of the ones you catching on the tail end of the jerkbait?
Yeah, they were. They were. Nice little fatty right there. Booyah! Those are little confidence builders. That's what I call them. You know, they're not going to win the tournament, but they help you get a limit.
You're not going to get the full pound in a tournament. Like I never.
It's probably a smallmouth.
Oh, come on, Brownie.
Little one.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell by the way he was fighting. Yay!
Get in here.
We got a smallie.
We got a brown one in
We got
Browntown.
a brown one in Browntown. He's a little one, but he's still a smallmouth. And I knew it was a smallmouth when I was fighting him by the way he was fighting.
Went all crazy.
Yeah, they are crazy. But look, right here, we're on a main run. This is the main, this isn't a side shoot. Main run. I didn't catch him off a bush, but I caught him on this little bluff wall. And that's the deal. Let's spot lock. I love that feature, spot lock. So now we're not gonna move.
Yep.
So if I was in the tournament, I'd come back here and call. That's what I did. You know, I'd spot lock like this if I caught one. Trolling motor Minn Kota would hold us in position.
Yep.
I'd come down here, measure the fish, put him in there, call, do my thing.
Take your time.
And then that way I haven't crashed into all the stuff in front of you. So nice little smallmouth bass right there. So they gotta be 18 on this lake, but just, oh, look at there. Look at,
oh, I dumped him.
what in the world?
I'm looking back at you
going
doing your
on?
little
How big was that
smallmouth segment.
one? That was a good keeper.
Yeah, that was a good keeper.
Was it a
Probably-
smallmouth?
No, it was a spot. It's probably
That
like
was
a
a
2
good
pounder,
one.
2
Yeah, it
1/4.
looked like a two something pound spot. All right, we're on fire. I'm going back to fishing. I didn't come back in here in the tournament. I practiced through here, and I haven't been back. But it's the same creek that I fished a lot. I caught a lot of fish in this area. And you just had a good one. Caught a short there, and another good keeper back there. So
It's the pattern.
should have fished in here yesterday. All right, here we go. The other thing is I'd reel my jerkbait. I'd cast it past the tree and then reel it down, you know, 5 or 6 cranks to try to
Get it started.
get a little depth, get it started, yeah. There he is. That's a good one too. That's a good fish right there. Look at this
Oh
smallmouth.
boy. Oh my god.
Look at this smallmouth. I need my net, and I don't have a net. It's like a giant smallmouth, guys. Look at this thing. Look at that
Get
one.
her?
See if I can get it. Look at that one.
Be cool, smallmouth.
Look at that,
Boom.
guys. Right there. Nice keeper smallmouth. Didn't even fish in here yesterday. Or the whole tournament. Look at that. I like it. Spot lock us.
I got you.
So I casted past the tree, reeled it down 6 or 7 cranks, got to the edge of the tree, and caught that beautiful, beautiful keeper. 3.5 pound smallmouth, probably 3.5.
Oh yeah.
Got a big old belly on her, big old pre-spawn fish. So that's it, man. That's it.
It's that simple.
It is. Thanks for hanging out.
Dude, thanks for
Hopefully
doing
you guys
it.
learned a few things.